I'd never been to China before. I didn't know what it was all about. When I was a little kid, my parents said, if you dig a hole deep enough, you get to China. Well, I tried. Didn't work. But I finally got there. And before going, I was thinking, what's China all about? You know, it's a huge country, hundreds of millions of people, backward country, struggling to feed themselves. Wow, what a wake-up call I got. China is on the move. We traveled across that country, 7 different cities, on bullet trains, traveling 200 miles an hour, smooth as glass. We visited a number of beautiful cities, Beijing, Shanghai, and other cities. Tens of millions of people, clean cities, very, very low crime, safe, subway systems transporting tens of millions of people every day, no graffiti, clean as can be. China's on the move. Shanghai itself is a world-class city. But here's what's interesting. As that country matures, they're missing Nebraska beef. And for the first time in 14 years, they're now buying Nebraska beef again. In fact, they're opening up the markets to all U.S. beef. But what's so good about this is, of the millions and millions of dollars of beef now moving from the United States to China, more than half of it originates in Nebraska. That's a great day. That's a great day for a state. For his part, the governor just returned from Japan a couple of months ago on his trade mission trip. The Japanese are buying $1 billion a year of our ag products. And as the Undersecretary mentioned, they'll buy more if we can get this tariff situation worked out. The Japanese, outside of North America, the Japanese are our #1 customer for beef, pork, corn, wheat, and eggs. And they'd love to buy more. You know, there was one bad Canadian cow that was properly detected, never got in the food chain, but it spooked off a number of countries from buying our beef years ago. Now they're rethinking it, and they're enjoying some of the best beef they've ever had. Half of the pork being raised for export in this state, half of it is going to Japan. They've gone through a major cultural transformation in recent years. For hundreds of years, as an island nation, the Japanese people, their principal diet was fish and seafood. Today, they're consuming more meat than fish. So, we're so pleased to announce tonight that Platte County has received the coveted livestock-friendly county designation. You're now the 44th county to receive this very prestigious designation, which shows that you're serious about developing the livestock industry in your county. And it's a great benefit to our state, and we're very, very pleased to be able to make that announcement tonight. And I want to congratulate all the members of the Board of Supervisors for their forward thinking in making this application and going through all the steps and jumping through all the hoops to have this county designated as a livestock-friendly county. So we're pleased to make that presentation tonight. I think we've got a plaque over here we're going to give the supervisors tonight. And just a pleasure to be with all of you tonight. God bless you. Keep up the good work. Go Nebraska.
Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. I'm not a public speaker, and you folks will soon find that out. Someone from the county board was asked to speak and make a few comments on what this means to Platte County. So I guess, I don't know, did I drink the most that I got this offer? But anyway, here I am. My name's Ron Pfeiffer, by the way, in case you folks don't, some of you folks might not know me. I'm represent District 4, which assumes about 2/3 of the north part of the county. And that is mostly agriculture, as you folks would probably know that. I farm near Lindsay, Nebraska with my son, and I'm proud to be a farmer. Just a quick little story. About a month ago, we were heading to Phoenix, my wife and I, and we were going through security. And I throw my change and stuff in the basket, and I got a little 2-inch pocket knife. Farmers need pocket knives. And I forgot I had it in my pocket. And I'm through, and my stuff isn't coming through the scanner yet. And the TVA inspectors, 2 gals come over and grab my basket and come over and say, "Sir, do you have anything in this basket that is pointy or sharp?" And I said, "Yeah, I got a little pocket knife that I carry with me all the time. You know, I forgot I had it. And my wife, in an innocent voice, trying to defend my position, says, "Well, he's a farmer." It's like, okay, well then it's okay. So anyway, let's get on with this. How did we get to this point? A couple years ago, one morning I was driving to a board meeting and heard on the radio where one of the counties in the state was awarded the honor of being livestock friendly. And so I brought it up at the board meeting and just mentioned it. We kicked it around a little bit, and it was kind of assumed by most of us that, you know, look at all the livestock we have. We don't have zoning. We have so much livestock in our county already. We have a couple of the biggest pork producers in our state in this county. And so that question kind of got put on the shelf. And about a little over a year ago, Holly Oak came to the board and suggested we ought to maybe look into this again. And that got the ball rolling again. We had a hearing, and the letters we received from individuals, from the pork producers, from the cattlemen, and of course the chambers pressed pretty hard. And it was, a resolution was drawn up, and I think the biggest question of that day was, who's going to do the paperwork? Holly thankfully offered to do it. Casey from the chamber was there, and he said, "Holly, if you need some help, you know, don't be afraid to ask us." I didn't ever ask you, Holly. Did Casey, in between his golfing, his business, did he ever?
I got lots of help from a lot of people.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so everything got done, and that's what brings us to receiving this award, which is really, really appreciative of the board, and I think it's great for Platte County. Just a few statistics, and these statistics that I got are from a census in 2012. Platte County was the #1 in hog producing in the state of Nebraska. We were #1 in sales of hogs and pigs in the state of Nebraska. And now dairy, as we seen on the film, dairy isn't real big in Platte County. You know, approximately a couple thousand head now. But thank good for that there is some dairy, because we had ice cream tonight. Otherwise, you know, cattlemen, a couple 100,000 head of cattle and calves in this county. It's tremendous, the cattle feeders. And I don't know, you know, down the road we have a chicken facility coming up, and I know a number of people who are going to be building chicken buildings to help support that facility. Heck, in about 5 years we'll have chicken over there too to eat. Maybe. Anyway, who knows? Anyway, the businesses, the industry in the county that's supported from livestock. I probably shouldn't do this. We're talking, because I'll forget somebody, but we're talking Balin's out here. We're talking Cargill, the beef plant. You look at out and about. We got Kent Feeds. We seen that on the film. I think it used to be Hubbard Feeds. I don't know if it's still the same. Look at all the co-ops in the county that support. Up at Lindsay, they built a little over $4 million feed mill a couple years ago, and they're as busy as can be. There's other co-ops, of course, in the county that produce feed and feed the livestock. And you know, I am forgetting a number of people. You got to even look at Menards, these businesses in town. There's a lot of Baumgarts, TSC. They're all basically farm stuff, basically. So I don't know if I have the statistics right, but is it 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 persons in the state of Nebraska, their jobs, 1 in 4, every 1 in 4 jobs is related to agriculture in the state of Nebraska. That's pretty cool when you think about it. So I'd like to, on behalf of the county board, I'd like to thank Mr. Mike Foley, Steve Wellman, for being here tonight and presenting this to the board and basically to Platte County. All you people out there are important. You help produce. If you're not a producer, you eat every day. That helps. So with that being said, I gotta once again recognize the pork producers, the cattlemen. Thank you very much for pushing us. The chamber, and once again, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Holly for her work in getting this finished. I'd like to close with one thing to think about. Everybody someday or one day in their life will probably need a lawyer. And everybody one day will need a minister, and everybody one day will need a doctor. But everybody every day needs a farmer. Thank you. God bless. Mr. Steve Wellman.
Thank you. So just maybe introduce myself a little bit since I'm kind of new to the job. I farm near Syracuse, and corn, cattle, soybeans, a little bit of wheat, some alfalfa. So then back in December, Governor Ricketts appointed me, asked me to serve the state of Nebraska as Director of Ag. So I considered that for a while, but I couldn't turn the governor down with an offer like that to represent agriculture every day for the state of Nebraska. So really a lot of the same comments about what agriculture means to the state. It's 20% of the economy, 1 out of every 4 jobs. In Platte County, you are the #1 pork producing county in the state of Nebraska. You are in the top 10 in cattle production in the state of Nebraska. So certainly you've been livestock friendly for many, many years. This designation is something that was developed and passed through the unicameral several years ago, and the Department of Agriculture is one of our duties in ag development and promotion is to work with counties that are interested in being designated by the state as livestock friendly. So we're very pleased to have Platte County now officially designated livestock friendly. It shows that the county actively supports growth and development in the livestock industry while still providing for the citizens of the county. And the program is really, it's a program that's from local support, as was mentioned earlier here, and it's really just a recognition of what you all do in the county and the support for agriculture and the livestock sector. I too want to thank a few of the individuals that were key drivers in this designation. They were individuals that really worked with the Department of Agriculture, and Steve Martin from the Department of Ag is here, and Steve does a lot of the groundwork, and I just get the opportunity to stand up here and talk about the work that he did and many other individuals. So I appreciate the work that Steve has put into this also. But Holly Oak for researching the program, completing the application, and bringing it to the board. Brad Christensen and the Chamber Ag Committee for encouraging the board to pursue the designation and supporting the program through the process. Al Vanalik, who was a Platte County Extension educator but now is in Lincoln with the University of Nebraska. Thank him for his assistance in researching the program and the importance of livestock in Platte County. David Bell with Loop Public Power District, Casey Balitz with the Columbus Chamber, Travis Bach with Columbus Sales Pavilion, and Stan Rosendahl for their, also for his support of the designation. The Platte County supervisors were the ones that actually led in studying the program and voted to apply. And so all these people really stood up in support of agriculture and the livestock industry. As part of the designation by the state of Nebraska, the Department of Roads will put up signs at all of the entrances into Platte County, and we have a sample of those signs here. The real signs aren't quite that big, but the Department of Roads will get those placed in the upcoming time. And so really at that point, just want to congratulate Platte County for the work you did to get this designation, and welcome to livestock-friendly county.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just together. Should I go on that side?
Yep, let's Tom, you want to balance that out for us? One, two.
Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Holly. Good work. Good work. Thank you, sir. Everyone in this room knows Platte County has long been friendly to livestock production, so that's nothing new. But we appreciate the state of Nebraska recognizing that in Platte County, and we're proud to tell the world that we love livestock and agriculture in Platte County. As you know, this is the 50th year of the Rural Recognition Banquet, but the relationship between the Chamber Ag Committee and the Platte County 4-H program goes back even further. In fact, this banquet evolved from what used to be the 4-H Recognition Banquet, still hosted by the Chamber Ag Committee. So the Chamber is proud to once again carry on the tradition by sharing tonight with our friends at Platte County 4-H. I now ask Jill Godigan, Extension Educator, and Platte County Bo Klug, with President of the 4-H Council, to take the stage to award 4-H awards.
4-H is the largest youth organization in the world, using practical learn-by-doing experiences to reach youth ages 5 through 19. In order for this to happen, the 4-H program relies on volunteer leaders, and without the commitment, hard work, and contribution of these caring adults, 4-H would not be the successful program it is today. In Platte County, approximately 400 youth rely on over 100 volunteer leaders to help them learn, discover, and enjoy their 4-H experience. Tonight, we recognize and thank our most valuable leaders, those who have made volunteering a part of their lives. On behalf of the 4-H youth of our county, we would like to say thank you to these leaders for their years of service. Please help me congratulate, for 10 years of service, Amy Blaser and Jane Kritzer. For 30 years of service, Cecilia Stenzel. And for 40 years of service, Merlene Sprunk. If you would all come forward, and let's congratulate all of these 4-H leaders and all the others who donate their time and talents to the youth of Platte County. 4-H would like to recognize the Diamond Clover Award winners for Platte County. The Nebraska 4-H Diamond Clover program is designed to encourage 4-H youth to engage in a variety of projects that will enable members to acquire life skills necessary to lead successful lives as competent, caring, and contributing citizens. It offers the opportunity for youth to practice life skills they are learning and be rewarded for their work. The program's overall goal is to provide 4-H members a rich and diverse learning experience. The program consists of 6 levels that require a 4-H member plan and report a range of age-appropriate accomplishments. The program is designed to enable every 4-H member willing to exert the effort an opportunity to be recognized, regardless of how they are involved in 4-H. Platte County 4-H is pleased to provide the Diamond Clover Recognition Program as a resource to 4-Hers and those who help them achieve their life skills goals. Tonight, we recognize members who have set and achieved their life skills goals in one of these level areas. Level 1 is Amethyst. Youth have identified and achieved at least 3 accomplishments. Please help me congratulate and welcome forward Tanner Schultz. Level 2 is Aquamarine. These youth have identified and achieved at least 4 accomplishments. Help me congratulate and welcome forward Sebastian De La Cruz. Level 3 is Ruby. These youth have identified and achieved at least 5 accomplishments. Help me congratulate Anthony Mudloff and Wyatt Swanson. Level 4 is Sapphire. These youth have identified and achieved at least 6 accomplishments. Please help me congratulate and welcome forward Lillian Hudnall. Level 5 is Emerald. These youth have identified and achieved at least 7 accomplishments. Please help me congratulate Micaiah De La Cruz, Madeline Hudnall, and Madison Schultz. Congratulations. At this time, the Platte County 4-H Council would like to recognize our scholarship recipients for 2018. These members have demonstrated the highest achievement in scholarship and active leadership within the Platte County 4-H program. These seniors are receiving scholarships to help them further their education thanks to the Platte County 4-H Council. Please come forward as your name is called as we congratulate Nathan Donahue, Kayla Sieper, Cassandra Wagner, and Brooklyn Wilkie. Tonight, we are also able to recognize one senior 4-H member involved in the 4-H Horse Project due to the generosity of the Hankey family. Please help me congratulate the recipient of the Henke Family Memorial Scholarship, Jocelyn Balin. Congratulations to our scholarship winners. Tonight we are recognizing a 40-year partnership between Platte County 4-H and Platte County Schools through the 4-H School Enrichment Program. The purpose of a 4-H School Enrichment Program is to encourage long-term involvement in 4-H, enhance the relationship between 4-H and school systems, provide informal education to complement the formal education received in schools, enhance subject matter, and foster and promote enthusiasm and support for participation in other 4-H programs. 4-H school enrichment programs are conducted during school hours in partnership with classroom instructors. The programs offer a varied learning experience supporting the school's curriculum. The programs are research-based, developmentally appropriate for the age of the youth, and connect the land-grant university system to local students. In Platte County, over 5,000 K-12 students participate in the school enrichment program each year. Students are able to learn and experience new things through educational and agricultural literacy, healthy lifestyle education, youth entrepreneurship, environmental education, science, and college and career readiness. 20 schools across the county are strong partners in this continued programming. Tonight we recognize the following schools in attendance for their dedication in offering 4-H school enrichment programs to their students. Please welcome forward from Centennial Elementary, Jackie Herring, Principal, Kathy Peterson, Principal of Christ Lutheran School, Jeff Bartles, Principal of Lost Creek Elementary, Platte Center Elementary Principal Quentin Witt, Principal of Shell Creek Elementary, Josh Graves, and Amy Sokol, Principal of St. Anthony Elementary. Congratulations and thank you to these schools for participating in the 4-H School Enrichment Program. Each year, the Platte County 4-H program honors those who have gone above and beyond to support the Platte County 4-H program through the Friends of 4-H and Meritorious Service Awards. Our first Friends of 4-H recipient is the Randy and Michelle Preister family. Randy, Michelle, Colin, Alec, and Kirsten Preister have been more than instrumental in starting and maintaining the 4-H robotics program in Platte County. Michelle is currently the leader of the Platte County 4-H robotics clubs and routinely coached and mentored more than 5 robotics teams with youth ages 8 through 17 since 2014. Their leadership has allowed many youth to experience the 4-H robotics program locally, regionally, and statewide. Michelle, Colin, Alec, and Kirsten also travel outside of Platte County to support robotics teams throughout the region. They host skill-building camps in several counties, including Platte County, each summer. In addition, the Preister family has been instrumental in ordering, organizing, and preparing the large amount of equipment needed for the robotics program. In the cooperative spirit of robotics, the Preister family has gone above and beyond to be an excellent resource to robotics teams locally, regionally, and statewide. At the 2018 Regional Robotics Tournament held in Columbus, their family helped start 16 of the 31 teams. The Preister family has worked as tireless volunteers to organize and host 6 tournaments, helping recruit hundreds of volunteers. They are truly an all-hands-on-deck type of family, making opportunities available for youth all around them. Please join us in congratulating and welcoming forward our first Friends of 4-H recipient, the Randy and Michelle Preister family. Our second Friends of 4-H recipient is Sidney Wagner. Sidney grew up as a Wayne County 4-H member. She is married to Stephen Wagner, also a dedicated 4-H volunteer. Both their daughters, Jasmine and Cassandra, have been heavily involved as well through the fantastic 4-H'ers Club. Sidney has served as a 4-H project leader for many years in the areas of clothing, goats, poultry, bucket calves, and more. Cindy is often found at the club's farm along 18th Avenue, ensuring the club's animals are taken care of and helping members work with their projects. She has also served on the Platte County 4-H Council as both member and treasurer and co-leader of the Platte County 4-H Junior Leaders. There isn't enough time to list all of the things Cindy does for the members of the fantastic 4-H'ers Club, but members and parents describe her as irreplaceable. She is always available, full of wisdom, and works tirelessly for the families. Cindy has the ability to find out strengths and weaknesses of each member and treats each of them individually. Please join us in congratulating the second Friends of 4-H recipient, Sidney Wagner. The 4-H Council selects only one Meritorious Service Award recipient each year. It is our most highly regarded award. Each recipient has been unique in the way they have supported the Platte County 4-H program. And this year, we honor Arnie Stoopman. Arnie started in 4-H 47 years ago, and his oldest son was invited to join the Cornhusker Livestock 4-H Club. He served as the leader of the club several times. Since then, he has been an active volunteer in the 4-H program through the Platte County 4-H Council, Extension Board, and Ag Society. Through his involvement, he has helped hire longtime staff members and make improvements to the Ag Park facility. Arnie helped organize the 4-H program, Life on the Farm. He and his wife Nancy helped provide the information and animals for the swine production session for 10 years. One of Arnie's longest tenures as a volunteer has been through the Platte County Livestock Sale, assisting with the event for more than 40 years. We're so very fortunate to have people like Arnie involved in 4-H, and it gives us great pleasure to put our hands together and thank our Meritorious Service Award recipient, Arnie Stoopman.
Thank you, Jill and Bo, and all of the 4-H families and award winners. Now we'd like to take this time to recognize individuals that have chosen to pursue further education to gain more knowledge and develop into a career with an agricultural emphasis. Through proceeds from tonight's banquet, scholarships are supported to CCC Columbus for students in the Ag program. This year's Columbus Area Chamber of Commerce Agriculture Scholarship recipients are Lysette Anderson, Grant Clausen, Kyle Grodelution, and Lyle Oppiger. Please stand to be. We'd also like to congratulate the Platte County Ag Society Scholarship recipients, Haley Jasper, Jared Mulligan, Emily Preister, and Devin Sprunk. You could be staying to be recognized as well. We'd also like to recognize and thank anybody that's a member of the Ag Society Board. Please stand to be recognized. Through 50 years, the Rural Recognition Banquet has celebrated the future of agriculture by honoring talented youth and celebrated the present by honoring award winners in 4 categories: Outstanding Women in Agriculture, Outstanding Area Farmer, Outstanding Senior Farmer, and Agribusiness Pioneer. In light of tonight's special historic perspective, the committee decided not to select award winners, but rather to especially recognize the honorees from the last 50 years. You saw them listed in the displays around the room, also in the program, and now we'd like to formally recognize them. To begin, I would ask that all past winners of the Outstanding Women in Ag Award gather in front of the banner for a group photo. Obviously, you know who you are, so if you were awarded that, go over to the banner. To qualify for this award, the criteria is they must work in the Columbus area, which is defined as the Platte County and all contiguous state counties. Award winners must have distinguished themselves with their work in agriculture and ag-related profession. Over by that way. Award winners must have distinguished themselves in their contributions to the community in agriculture or in a related manner, as well as they had given distinguished service in agriculture or closely related areas. Applicants are judged first on their impact to agriculture or rural way of life, and secondly on their contributions to community or region. So I'd like to thank and recognize the past award winners of the Outstanding Women in Agriculture. While they're returning to their seats, I'd ask the past honorees as Outstanding Area Farmer come forward to the banner as well for their group picture. These award winners as well have had to live in the Platte County and contiguous counties. The award winners have distinguished themselves in their work in agriculture. They must be actively engaged in a farming or ranching operation. And there's no age requirement. I now ask the past honorees for Outstanding Senior Farmer or any family representatives that may be in attendance. The Senior Farmer Award has to meet all the same requirements, but they must be 65 years of age or older to qualify for the award. Close. Finally, I'd ask that anyone that has received the past honoree for the Agribusiness Pioneer Award come forward for their picture as well. The criteria for the Agribusiness Pioneer Award is a business organization that makes significant contributions to the agribusiness strength of the area. Significant weight is given to innovation in agriculture-related industry that has changed or improved an ag-related practice or industry. On behalf of the Chamber Ag Committee, it's been an honor and a pleasure to recognize and work with all the past honorees. It truly is what makes something good in Platte County. Now I'm pleased to introduce our keynote speaker for the evening. Neil Dirks is the CEO of National Pork Producers Council. In this role, he spends a great deal of time in Washington, D.C., as well as the council's headquarters in Des Moines, Iowa, promoting and advocating for the nation's livestock producers. Neil currently serves on the Supporters of Ag Research Foundation Board of Directors, the CFTC Ag Advisory Committee, and is a recipient of the Distinguished Support of Animal Science Award from the American Society of Animal Science. Beginning in 1990, he served as NPPC in a series of senior executive positions. Prior to his service with NPPC, Mr. Dirks served as the Special Activities Director for the Iowa Pork Producers Association and Marketing Director for the Iowa Corn Promotion Board. Neil grew up on a livestock farm in eastern Iowa and remains involved in a family farming operation. He is a graduate of Iowa State University. Please welcome Neil Dirks.
Thank you, Brad. Is this on? Can you hear me now? All right. Thank you for that kind introduction. Don't worry. I mean, usually I can go on for hours about the pork industry. This is a different speech. But the first thing I want to say is thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I would tell you I was a little surprised to see how many friends I haven't seen for a while. Arnie and Bill, Jim, and a whole bunch of people. And thank you for the opportunity. I also want to tell you that as I thought about this speech, which I said it was a little bit of a different kind of thing because typically I don't talk general issues. The thought came to me, and what I'm really here for tonight is to bear witness. And I'm here to bear witness about Platte County, the surrounding area. And this is a special place. I get throughout the United States, I spend a lot of time in rural areas, and believe me, this is a special place as it relates to agriculture, agribusiness, and actually community. So with that, I was going to say I'd like to talk about a couple things, but first I'd also like to say this. You saw that I was an Iowa State grad. If we think back to 1968 and think about all the different things that have transpired since 1968, there were a lot of them. Some of them I'm going to touch on. In addition to being a graduate from Iowa State University, I'm a lifelong Cub fan. So, Lieutenant Governor, please take it back to the governor. Makes good decisions. Well, the family makes good decisions, but he makes good decisions too, because I'll tell you what, I have to get Nebraska more often, because I didn't realize that Mr. Bowman, you're now the deputy, or the secretary, or the director of agriculture. I thought you guys had some heavyweight soybean people coming in here. And I've known Steve for too many years probably. But I'll tell you, very well represented by that selection. I've seen Steve in action in Washington and other places, and he's represented soybean producers very well. He's articulate, he's a great agriculturalist. So please extend my congratulations to the governor, and then tell him his brother's doing a good job too. Now, with that, I said that there are a lot of things that have happened since 1968. And just to give you a perspective of a few that maybe we haven't gotten captured up on these excellent displays here, I was just going to run through a few of them. 1968, Boeing introduced the 747, 50 years ago. There were a number of other things that got introduced back then. The Beatles introduced Hey Jude as a song. Now, I hate to admit this, I can remember Hey Jude being introduced as a song. A lot of people don't realize that that year Apollo 8 was the first manned spaceship to circle the moon, obviously setting things up for the following year for the landing on the moon. We also had a dedication in St. Louis. The Gateway Arch was dedicated, as well as there was a little thing called 60 Minutes that debuted on CBS television. So it's been going for 50 years. Airbags for cars were invented in 1968. The 9/11 phone service started in 1968. And in Philadelphia, they installed the first automatic teller machine in 1968, 50 years ago. Now, as I said, I'm an Iowa State grad, so I'll go back. Iowa State used to be in the league, play football games against the University of Nebraska. That ended in 2010 when Nebraska moved to a different league. I just want you to know, for you Nebraska fans, the University of Lincoln record in football against Iowa State from 1968 to 2010, those 42 years, was 38 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie. And the one thing about Nebraska moving to the Big Ten is it stopped a major crisis in Ames, Iowa, at Iowa State. Because at that juncture, they were so demoralized from the football losses, they had actually been contemplating changing the name of the mascot. As you know, Iowa State's called the Cyclones, and the mascot's the Cardinal. And there was serious consideration at the time to change the name to the Iowa State Possums. You guys hadn't heard that one. Well, it was quite simple, quite logical. They were going to call them the Possums because they got killed on the road, they played dead at home. A couple other things happened in 1968. Pierre Trudeau was elected the first prime minister. His first term as Prime Minister of Canada. That's Pierre Trudeau, father of the current Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. And one of the most interesting things I thought was what was introduced at McDonald's. Anybody take a guess? The Big Mac. 50 years ago today, anybody want to guess what it was selling for? 49 cents a piece. Long time ago. I was going to say the other thing that, for those of you who didn't know about that same time, 2010, that was before the Cubs became world champions. There was also a crisis in Chicago about that time too, because they were talking about creating an international baseball league. And there was serious consideration. The Cubs were going to be sent, this is before the Ricketts family bought them. They're going to send the Cubs to the Philippines and then rename them the Manila Folders. But the Ricketts family survived, took us out of harm's way, and we've now actually won a World Series. In all seriousness, as I said, I'm here to bear witness. These displays talk about Platte County population growth. The first census was done in Platte County in 1860. There were 782 people in the county. Interestingly enough, Platte County increased its population every decade except for 2 decades. And I was surprised at the 2 decades. The 2 decades were the 1940s, which I chalk up to to the impact of World War II, and servicemen seeing parts of the world probably decide not to come back home. In the 1950s, which I would chalk up to the Korean War, the same situation. But every other decade, this county has increased population. Very unusual when you take a look at rural America, including the decade of the 80s during the farm crisis. For such a heavily reliant county on agriculture, to gain population during the farm crisis says a lot about the people of this county and about the specialness of this county. I chalk that up just to my observation of several things, some of which you've heard tonight on some of the presentations on the videos. One of those is your natural resources. You have tremendous productive soils here. You also have ingenuity from your people. I call that soft technology. That's creativity. With things like, as mentioned Lindsay, irrigation systems. And with those irrigation systems and the ability to improve crop yields, you had other opportunities in the marketplace. For instance, Balin, let's build corn storage. That corn storage kept corn in condition to allow your cattle industry to thrive, to allow your pork industry to thrive, ultimately to allow Minnesota pork processors here to locate the ethanol plant that ADM now owns. So it's natural resources, human ingenuity, the people, and technology. Now, Casey, I have to tell you, I knew that Platte County was good at technology, but I have to admit, this is the first time I've ever seen a screen like this. I walked in tonight and I gave my stick to, I said, Mickey, is there going to be a screen? Yeah, she goes, just take it to Casey up front. And so I'm sitting all through lunch and there's just a big pile of black curtain laying here. And then suddenly it becomes a screen. I find that to be very consistent with technology adoption in Platte County. As I said, the natural resources, hard technology, and the people. I was going to tell you back in 1968, the average Nebraska corn yield on dryland corn was 70 bushels an acre. On irrigated corn, it was 109 bushels an acre, and the national average in the United States was 83 bushels an acre. This past year, to my understanding, I don't know if it's on the charts or not, but in 2017, Platte County had 168 bushel dryland yield, and a 209 irrigated yield. It has provided these great benefits that's ultimately led Platte County to be the 40th largest cattle feeding county in the United States and the 34th largest pork producing county in the United States. Now, Steve, you talked about, I figured Platte County was probably #1 in Nebraska. I don't know exactly where that puts the cattle feeding industry, but with that, all that technology, all that value added means jobs. And I think that's part of the reason you see that the county has grown as such. More jobs with Minnesota corn processors, ultimately ADM. More jobs as it relates to the feed mills that are here. More jobs as it relates to the lenders and the banks here. More jobs with the genetics companies that are located here. All creating wealth, and that wealth creates community. And believe me, going across the country, you don't see that happen in all rural areas. So we've come this 50 years, and again, I congratulate you on your first 50 years. But what about the next 50 years? And I brought along with me a few charts that, Casey, if you'd help me, and put up the first one. Excuse me, why don't you skip ahead for one? Another one. This is the first chart. Those of pork producers in the audience who see me speak have probably seen this. This is the history of the world population since basically the start of time. About 7,000 BC is when civilization began. And how did civilization begin? Agriculture was created. As we obviously were planting corn with sticks, but the point was man started cultivating crops. Excuse me, started domesticating animals. And with that, you see this steady increase of people in the world. Now, at the time of AD 1, there were probably about 200 million people in the world. And it took until 1804 to get 1 billion people. Then it took 130 years, well actually 126 years to 1930, we had 2 billion people in the world. And then the next change came in 1952, we had 3 billion, 1968 we had 4 billion, suddenly we're growing very rapidly. Yesterday we had 7,360,000,000 people in the world. Headed towards, and you heard it earlier, at least 9 billion, Ted McKinney talked about it, at least 9 billion people by the year 2050, within that 50-year range ahead of us, okay? Ted, the next one, Casey. And I thought this was telling. This is a train called World Food Delivery Systems. And it says, I think I can, I think I can, I hope I can, I really hope I can, and I hope I can. That's ahead of you. You are an agriculturally producing nation, or country, or county in this country. And the point with it is that there's your market. We'll have over 10 billion mouths to feed by the year 2050. As diets increase around the world, people try to improve their diet by adding protein. And now I'd like to go back, Casey, to the original slide. All right, and this is from a book called The Accidental Superpower. I'd highly recommend it. In fact, my last slide is a picture of it, so you can write it down. But the premise of this is that civilizations start on rivers. We know that because of the Fertile Crescent in Mesopotamia, what was Babylon, and then Egypt. And with the rivers, you have transportation. Classic story goes that if in the late 1700s, a man in western New York had an apple orchard, and he could carry 25 pounds of apples to the market down trails. Well, after he did that for a while, he was able to buy a horse, and suddenly he could carry 250 pounds of apples down the trail to sell at the market. And he progressed, and he prospered, and then he could buy a wagon, and it was 500 pounds of apples. And then a thing called the Erie Canal went in. The horse was old enough at that juncture, he got a different type of horse, and suddenly, rather than carrying 25 pounds of apples to market, he could hitch his horse to a barge in the Erie Canal, and he could take 5,000 pounds of apples. And all that deal, feeding people. So the point with it is the rivers are critical, and the United States has more navigable rivers than the rest of the world. Any other spot in the rest of the world. And you'll know that some of these things are strange, because this is only navigable rivers in the United States that have a 9-foot channel. Missouri has a 90-foot channel up to Sioux City. The Mississippi has one that moves up to Minneapolis, St. Paul. The point that goes with this, though, is that within 150 miles of rivers, it does several things. It draws capital, so people have capital to invest in development of land. And this is why, long term, we sit in the most special place in the world. There are 3 places that have roughly similar amounts of arable land, other than North America and southern Canada. Those other 2 places are Argentina and southern Brazil, but they don't have any infrastructure. And the other place are the plains of Central Europe, from the Czech Republic, Hungary, all the way to Ukraine. Problem there is the political situation in Ukraine. So the point with it is you are sitting, obviously, right over here to the west of the Missouri River, and you're in a very productive place. The other thing important about civilization is having Deepwater Ports. The United States has more deepwater ports than the rest of the world combined as far as deepwater ports. Now, there are lots of other countries that have deepwater ports, but not as many. And in fact, the state of Texas has more deepwater ports than Europe. Okay? That means products can go to where they're needed. Okay, Casey, you want to give me the next slide? Let's go another one. And this one. Okay. Now I know there's educators in here. Classic map. It's on every elementary school wall about the geographic the geographic world. Now, the point that goes with this, however, is that if you take this map and you could change it to represent population density, what would it look like? So, if you took populations of the countries listed here and you said we're going to draw the scale to indicate giving every man, woman, and child on Earth 4 foot by 4 foot space to stand in, and then change the landmass to go with that, it would change what those countries look like. Casey, you want to give me the next slide? And this is what the world looks like. Nearly half of the world's population is in Asia. Okay? Extremely important markets to us. Notice the United States really didn't change that much. South America really didn't change that much because we have arable land and our population density is such that we can use that arable land to raise food. And alas, this is India, the green is China, the purple is Japan. And people's incomes are improving and their diets are improving. And they're increasingly demanding more protein. So the point with this is, long term, there's a bright future. Now, we all recognize that, it's not like a normal economist who takes well, here's the end point, and now we're going to draw a straight line to it, and it's going to be this nice, even growth pattern over time. There's going to be ups and downs, but the reality is, in the end, somebody's going to service this. If somebody doesn't service this, then we're going to have even bigger problems in this world. Now, the good thing is the United States has oceans separated from other countries. We have neighbors on the north and south that aren't going to invade us. And we have all this productive land, so we'll feed it to ourselves if we have to. However, the opportunity for growth is to meet those markets. Ted McKinney's doing good work. The gentleman who was on the video earlier, he has been making a lot of trips on behalf of all of agriculture. He gets it. He understands the idea of bringing value to U.S. agriculture by finding markets internationally that increase the value of the crops and the pork, the beef, the poultry, the ethanol, the food and fiber, the cotton, the peanuts that we produce. And in fact, this administration is trying very hard to open these markets now. We know last week that there was an issue on steel, and the administration announced tariffs on China. And there's been a lot of talk about how's this going to impact us. Just tell you generally from a pork perspective, I'm glad it didn't happen before Chinese New Year. The Chinese have not been in our market lately. So the reality is the market decrease we've seen in the pork industry lately is basically because of all the pork we're producing. We need some more markets, but it's not because of China. Now, long term, if we don't get this figured out with China, it'll be a problem. But I'm still hopeful, and the reports out of Washington now are that the Chinese took this serious enough that they figured they better sit down and start negotiating. And it sounds like there are some additional serious discussions taking place that hopefully can resolve the trade dispute. And hopefully the last thing this country needs is a trade war. So the point with it is, long term, this is what it's all about. We need to access these markets. That's going to give opportunity. It's going to give opportunity for the corn that's grown here, for the ethanol that's produced here, the byproducts out of the ethanol plant, the beef that's raised here, the pork that's raised here. Those markets mean opportunity for the next 50 years. Casey, I think that's my last slide, except for, oh, no, there's one other thing, a warning I want to give everybody. And that is, this red line is the urban population of the world. And this green line is the rural population. And what does that mean? Well, in 2010, they crossed. And I guess I'd leave you with this thought. It's important to be engaged. It's important to let your elected representatives know what you think. Because guess what? In the world, urban people are going to have the power. And the point with it is, as producers of food, fiber, and fuel, we need to make sure they know what the story is. So with that, Casey, that's my last slide. Thank you. I was going to say again, in closing, I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to be here. Again, congratulations, Ernie. Great tractor. It's the kind of tractor that I grew up on. We couldn't afford a 185 horse challenge. We were using Minneapolis Plains. But the point being is, I appreciate where you're at. You are special. Black County special. Columbus is special. Special because of the people and the natural resources. And with that, I wish you the best of luck in your next 50 years. Thank you.
Here's a t-shirt.
Oh, thank you.
You bet.
That's great. Yes, don't. And I get a t-shirt.
There you go. Neil, I also need to mention that, as most of you can probably hear, our bearing on our screen is cackling over here, so we limped it through another year, so it could have fell down. That brings us to our 50th, that brings our 50th annual Rural Recognition Banquet to a close. Thanks again for our special guests for marking this 50-year milestone with us. Thanks to the Fair Park Grill and all our local food providers for tonight's meal. Thank you to Platte County Historical Society, Arnie Stutman, West Point Implement of Columbus, the Lakeview FFA for helping with the historical displays. Thanks again to our title sponsor, ADM, and all the businesses who sponsored tonight's banquet. I'd like to thank everyone for coming to celebrate with the Columbus Area Chamber Committee tonight. For 50 years, this banquet has reflected the changing ag economy in our region. We know that changes will continue in the future, and the Chamber Ag Committee will be here to support our ag producers and build bridges between agriculture and business. We believe the future has never been brighter for our region's ability to feed the world, and we're excited to be part of that for the next 50 years. There is truly just something good in agriculture in Platte County and our surrounding areas. Please drive safe and have a good night. I also have one more thing. The flower piece was donated by Country Lane Gardens, and Nancy Lucky gets to take that home with her. So thank you for them to donate that.